Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place where we unpack the stories that really resonate and sometimes even reshape our world.
That's right.
And today, we're exploring a love story that didn't just capture millions of hearts, but it fundamentally shifted an entire genre. We're talking about Together, the series.
A big one.
Yeah, this wasn't just, another drama. It really felt like a cultural phenomenon, didn't it? Kind of perfect storm that sent ripples across the globe, left a huge mark.
Undeniable.
So our mission today is to take that deep dive into what made this series tick. The charming characters, its groundbreaking impact, the fascinating reasons behind that incredible popularity.
And the criticisms, too, we should add.
Oh, absolutely. And the criticisms it faced. We're going to try and uncover why this story resonated so much, or what it maybe revealed about the changing media landscape, especially, boys' love or BL content.
And what it left behind, its legacy.
Exactly. The legacy.
It's truly fascinating, isn't it? How a seemingly simple college romance on the surface could become such a touchstone for so many people.
Right.
Especially coming out during that very specific global moment. So what we'll be digging into isn't just what Together showed us, but really the why it mattered, for global audiences, for how BL evolved, and for the entertainment industry as a whole. It definitely carved out a unique space.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start at the beginning, the origin story.
It's a place to start.
At its core, Together introduces us to Tine Teepecorn. He's a first-year law student, seems pretty focused on dating girls.
Standard college stuff.
Right. But he's got this admirer, Green, who's also male and very, very persistent. Green just won't take no for an answer.
Okay.
So Tine hatches this plan, probably thought it was genius, maybe a little desperate. He decides to get Sarawat and Tine, the popular, handsome musician on campus, to pretend to be his boyfriend.
Ah, the fake dating trope.
Exactly, just to ward Green off.
Yeah.
Now, Sarawat, initially, he's totally aloof about it, just rejects Tine.
Not interested.
But Tine is, he's determined. And honestly, his pursuit is pretty funny. Eventually, he wins Sarawat over and they start this fake relationship.
Right.
But the real hook, obviously, is what happens next.
Yeah.
Over time, you see their dynamic shift, their feelings grow. It goes from pretense to something really genuine, a heartfelt romance.
And what makes Together quite clever here is how it uses that popular fake dating idea, but gives it this fantastic twist.
Okay.
The audience, we know pretty much right from the start that Sarawat isn't just pretending. He's actually had this secret crush on Tine for years.
Right. I remember that reveal.
Yeah, and that's classic dramatic irony, isn't it? That tension where we know more than Tine does. We know Sarawat's feelings are real while Tine's still figuring things out.
Right.
And this sort of low-stakes framework, it was really effective. By keeping external drama fairly low, initially at least, it lets the audience just focus on them, on how their feelings are changing. It makes a whole fake dating thing feel surprisingly real, actually.
Yeah, relatable. Even if you haven't watched much BL before.
Exactly. It allows for that slow burn, that gradual realization, which is just so satisfying to watch.
That's a great point about the dramatic irony pulling you in while Tine slowly catches on. But beyond that, the way this show just exploded internationally. It was incredible. And not just luck, right?
No, definitely not just luck.
People call it a perfect storm of circumstances that turned it from a Thai hit into this global thing.
Yeah, several factors lined up.
Okay, first, the timing. It was almost uncanny. Came out February 2020.
Right when the pandemic lockdowns were starting everywhere.
Exactly. People were stuck at home, feeling anxious, looking for comfort and escape. And here comes this really engaging, heartwarming romance. Like a balm.
A much-needed distraction.
Totally. But maybe the real game changer was accessibility.
Oh, absolutely key.
GMMTV, the production company, they made this brilliant decision. They put the episodes with official English subtitles.
On YouTube.
On YouTube.
For free.
Which was huge.
That just opened the floodgates to this massive global audience who maybe hadn't seen much Thai drama, let alone BL, before.
Yeah, it lowered the barrier to entry completely.
And then, of course, you had social media. It was constantly trending on Twitter, Facebook, creating this amazing shared experience for fans watching all over the world. Felt like a community.
Building on that, connecting it to the bigger picture, Together absolutely served as that gateway BL for countless international viewers.
Yeah, you hear that term a lot with this show.
And that low-stakes, feel-good plot was crucial. Unlike, some other BL series that might tackle heavier drama or more complex themes.
Right.
Together was fundamentally a light, sweet, romantic comedy. It focused on the fun parts, the awkward parts, the sweet parts of young love.
Made it easy to watch. Very easy. Very mainstream, almost non-threatening in its approach. And that broke down barriers. It introduced this huge new audience to a genre they might have previously seen as niche or maybe even intimidating.
So it broadened the appeal, made BL feel just like another love story, really.
Pretty much universally appealing because the core story was simple and sweet, regardless of gender.
And what truly sent this series into the stratosphere, you could argue, was that iconic duo at the center and their chemistry.
Oh, definitely. Bright and Win.
Bright Vachirawit as Sarawat, Win Metawin as Tine. They created this massive BrightWin fandom that just captivated everyone.
The chemistry was undeniable.
And at the heart of it was that perfect opposites attract energy, wasn't it?
Totally.
We had Bright Sarawat seemed aloof, super popular, the cool musician. But underneath, he had this secret, long-held devotion to Tine.
Yeah, years of pining.
He was protective, maybe a bit possessive, but also incredibly romantic. Gave us those iconic lines like, if you can't stop, then I'll stop for you.
Memorable lines. What do you think made that specific mix, Sarawat's quiet devotion and Tine's journey, so magnetic for viewers?
I think it was the contrast, like you said.
It's precisely that contrast that worked so well. You have Tine, played by Win, starting out as this, chic but kind of clueless, insecure law student.
Ambiguing things out.
Exactly. And his journey, going from identifying as straight to accepting he's in love with a man, that resonated deeply with a lot of viewers.
It felt quite real, his confusion.
And Win brought this amazing sort of puppy energy to Tine, didn't he? Made him so endearing, even when he was being overly dramatic or overthinking things.
Definitely have that charm.
So you have Sarawat, who's calm, cool, confident in his feelings, next to Tine, who's this whirlwind of confusion and discovery. Sarawat grounds Tine, Tine brings out Sarawat's softer side. It just made you believe in that magic of first love again.
Yeah.
And that dynamic, plus the sheer chemistry between Bright and Win, it really helped gloss over maybe some narrative weaknesses elsewhere. It cemented them as legendary.
And you can't talk about the experience without mentioning the soundtrack.
Oh, definitely not. Scrub.
That Thai indie band, Scrub. Their music wasn't just background. It felt like another character, especially with Sarawat and his guitar. It created this deep nostalgia, hitting all the emotional beats perfectly.
Music was central, enhancing every key moment.
Yeah. And beyond the main pair, the supporting cast did important work too, like Green, played by Gun Korowit.
The catalyst.
Right, the catalyst for the whole thing. Now, his portrayal was very exaggerated, comedic, drew some criticism, actually.
It did. Some found it stereotypical.
But he served a purpose. His motives, using Tine to make his own boyfriend jealous, that kind of highlighted how real the feelings between Tine and Sarawat were becoming, by contrast.
That's a fair point. He framed their connection.
And you had other romances like Man and Type Sarawat's buddy and Tine's brother. That helped normalize things further.
Showed different kinds of relationships.
Plus Tine's friends, Fong, Om, Fahak.
Yeah.
They're great, providing humor and just solid support. It felt like a whole world built around Tine and Sarawat.
Absolutely. The strength of the leads and that supportive ecosystem around them, it carried a lot of the show's weight. But that does bring us neatly to some of the very real critiques the series face, especially around things like intimacy, maybe plot points.
Right.
How do you see those, let's call them narrative weaknesses, fitting into the big picture of its success and maybe the BL genre overall?
It's a fascinating tension, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it was so popular, but yeah, 2gether wasn't perfect. For a lot of seasoned BL fans, the lack of on-screen intimacy was a big sticking point.
The high five heard around the world.
Exactly. The original series ending, replacing that hugely anticipated kiss with a high five, that was a major disappointment for many. It fed into this feeling that moments like the pretzel kiss everyone talked about were teased but never really delivered.
With people wanting more.
Definitely. And beyond intimacy, there were questions about plot consistency. Some felt the story kind of lost steam later on.
Particularly episodes 9 onwards, some felt.
Yeah, and that late introduction of Pam, Sarawat's ex-friend, it felt to many like a pretty cliched, forced conflict just to set up a sequel, not really organic to the story.
A bit tacked on, perhaps?
And some argued Tine's endearing cluelessness got stretched a bit thin. There were even comments about Sarawat's character maybe feeling a bit diminished by lying in episode 12, or that Bright's acting dipped slightly later on.
Those criticisms really touch on a core dilemma, don't they?
How so?
Well, 2gether achieved that massive success largely because it was so accessible, so broadly appealing.
Right, that was its strength.
But that accessibility seemed to come with a trade-off. Maybe a deliberate choice to tone down explicit queer representation to keep that mainstream appeal.
Ah, okay. Keep it safe.
Exactly. The criticism about commercialization over substance came from that perception that the show prioritized profitable tropes, like the fake dating and maybe the actorships. The fan pairing.
The BrightWin phenomenon itself.
Right. Prioritizing that over potentially deeper, more complex queer storytelling. Some argued it risks sidelining more nuanced stories in favor of easily digestible content and fan service.
So it raises the question, what gets lost when commercial success is the main driver?
Precisely. And you also had critiques about specific representation, like the straight boy falls for a gay man trope, or Green's very comedic, sometimes stereotypical portrayal.
Yeah.
It highlighted that ongoing tension between making something accessible and providing truly authentic queer representation.
And the intimacy point.
Well, regarding the lack of intimacy, it's worth remembering the production context. The director made certain choices, and GMN offered explanations about, camera angles for that kiss in episode 5, framing them as intentional creative decisions.
Intentional or not, it sparked debate. That's a really powerful critique about commercialization versus authenticity. But looking at it from another angle,
Go on.
didn't that safer, more accessible approach actually make it digestible for a much wider audience? An audience that maybe wasn't ready for or hadn't been exposed to more explicit or complex queer stories.
That's the counter-argument, certainly.
Maybe it paved the way, opened the door for those more complex stories to come later.
Yeah.
It feels a bit like a chicken and egg situation.
It's a valid point. It broke ground in terms of sheer reach.
Regardless, the 2gether story didn't end there. They continued it, cemented its place with follow-ups.
Right. First came Still Together.
Yeah, that 5-episode miniseries, August 2020. Picked up their relationship about a year later. New challenges, different schedules, uni-club roles, that kind of thing.
And notably, more intimacy.
Yes, it was definitely noted for having more affection, more overt intimacy between them. Moving beyond what some called a bromance dynamic in the first season, it offered a more satisfying conclusion for many fans.
Address some of the earlier critiques.
And then, 2021, we got 2gether, the movie.
Which was essentially a re-edit.
Yeah, it re-edited footage from both series, but crucially, added new scenes, extra narration, often from Time's perspective, which was interesting.
Gave his viewpoint more weight.
Right. It aimed for tighter storytelling and definitely delivered a sweeter, more satisfying ending. That romantic closure upgrade, finally replacing the high five, gave fans that sense of lasting closure.
So the safer approach arguably enabled the initial breakthrough, like you said, and then the follow-ups could offer a bit more depth and resolution.
Seems that way.
And ultimately, stepping back to look at the big picture 2gether, the series fundamentally altered the landscape. For Thai BL, yes, but even for the broader entertainment industry there.
How so, specifically?
Well, its massive global success led to a huge increase in production volume, bigger budgets across the board for BL series.
A boom, basically.
A definite boom.
Yeah.
It created these new celebrity BL couples, with Bright and Win being the prime example, becoming international stars.
Yeah. Brands definitely noticed.
Oh, yeah. It massively expanded the ancillary revenue streams, fan meetings, merchandise, endorsements. That whole multi-platform business model became standard practice, really solidified by 2gether's success.
So more professionalized, bigger business.
Exactly. And beyond the business side, it contributed significantly to mainstream normalization. Just presenting a queer romance in this super popular rom-com format, it helped normalize same-sex relationships for a vast audience.
Laid some groundwork?
Laid some groundwork for discussions around LGBTQ+ issues, even though the show itself wasn't overtly political. And its influence spread beyond Thailand, too. It directly inspired BL shows in other countries, like Game Boys in the Philippines.
Wow, okay. Didn't realize that direct link.
Yeah, so its legacy is really one of massive expansion and influence. It truly paved the way for the wave of BL productions that followed.
So wrapping this up, what does all this mean for you, our listener? We've gone from a simple, kind of funny, fake dating premise to this global cultural moment. 2gether. The series clearly had its flaws. We've talked about those.
Definitely.
But its impact is just undeniable. It really was a milestone, wasn't it? A cultural reset in some ways. A story that brought queer love
joy and humor and a sense of normalcy that just resonated so deeply.
That gateway BL effect was powerful.
Hugely powerful.
Hmm.
It allowed thousands, maybe millions worldwide to feel seen.
Yeah.
Importantly, seen to be happy. It invited people to just embrace a sweet love story, maybe suspend some preconceptions, and enjoy the romance.
And I think that series, despite all the valid criticisms, ultimately invited this huge global audience to just embrace queer love stories as normal.
Yeah.
It showed the power of these accessible, feel-good stories to cross cultural divides, introduce diverse forms of love to people who might not have sought them out otherwise.
Right.
And it leaves us thinking, doesn't it? What can future BL series achieve? How can they build on this legacy, balancing that broad mainstream appeal that 2gether mastered
Right.
with maybe deeper, more authentic, more nuanced storytelling and representation, continuing to push those boundaries that 2gether so significantly expanded.
A lot to think about there. We really hope this deep dive into 2gether gave you some new insights, maybe sparked a bit of nostalgia if you watched it back then.
Hope so.
What stood out to you from our discussion today? What were your favorite moments from the series? Or maybe, what questions does it raise for you about where BL content goes next? We would genuinely love to hear your thoughts.